The day-long summit of ECOWAS head of states is underway in Niger's capital, Niamey. Mali's military junta held talks on transition to civilian rule over the weekend. Nine out of 10 people breathe unclean air, according to the UN Secretary General, as the world marks the first World Clean Air Day. News Desk starts now with Juldenjai Sware.
It's 3 minutes past 9 a.m. in Washington, D.C., 3 minutes past 3 GMT in Cape Town, South Africa, and 3 minutes past 1 in Nigerian capital, Niamey, where West African leaders are holding the 57th ordinary session of the Summit of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government. The meeting came at a time when there are global concerns over political crisis in the sub-region. Fatoumata Fati has more of that in this report. Leaders of the Mali military junta hold talks with the main opposition group, the M5 movement, and opposition a possible power handover deal. The conference held in Bamako over the weekend was called off last weekend following a quarrel that broke out between the army and the opposition group. Daisise has more of that in this report.
The military government's leaders who overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August pledged to step down after an undefined transition period, prompting the demand for a swift transfer of power to civilian rule. The 5th June protest movement, M5, which led the protest against former President Keïta, demanded a say in the transition process as pressure piles up on the military leaders. A member of the M5 movement, Omar Jara, said they have struggled so hard to be forgotten.
They had a Machiavellian plan to withdraw, to outvote the M5 RFP. The M5, which carried the struggle of the people for more than 4 months at the cost of imprisonment. You see today, we had to make noise so that they restore us in our right, and it is really deplorable. Mali does not need that today. For a new Mali, we need men of worth, integrity, and worthy of the name.
Colonel Malik Jaw, the Vice President of the National Council for the Salvation of the People, said that a term of reference workshop has been set up to foster the transition process.
Time is running out. We have to go quickly but surely. It is with this approach the National Council for the Salvation of the People took the initiative to organize this term of reference validation workshop. Allow me to assure you that this step of validation of the term of reference constitutes the first phase of laying the groundwork on the future of our nation.
A participant of the national consultation, Mahamoud Jawara, is hopeful that the term of reference validation will make it possible to put in place the organs of transition.
Je pense que les militaires, en tout cas dans leur discours, ils expriment la volonté.
I think that the soldiers in their speech expressed the will to move towards a rapid transition, and they declared that they wish that the terms of reference validated today will make it possible to go towards consultations, and that these consultations make it possible to put in place the organs of the transition. Now they have their ways of doing things. It is certainly not the one to which we are accustomed at the civil powers, but for the moment we cannot affirm any will to take power. We are observing.
The 15-nation regional bloc of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, had imposed sanctions and closed borders to Mali as part of efforts to press the military government into handing over power. Meanwhile, former President Keïta is currently undergoing medical treatment in the United Arab Emirates after suffering a mini stroke. For iAfrica News, Ndeye Cissé.
Unemployment rate has become a global trend in Africa, most especially the sub-Saharan regions. During the COVID-19 outbreak in Africa, the situation became worse as millions of people just lost their jobs. Governments all over the world or continent put in place strict measures to cope the spread of the virus, leading to the closure of schools, businesses, and other workplaces that serve as a source of employment for many people. In Kenya, the unemployment rate has drastically increased from the month of March to June since the country detected its first COVID-19 case. Approximately 2 million people have become unemployed within the interval of 4 months. For now, no one knows that the fate of the country's economic holds. More of that in this report.
Up until March this year, 55-year-old Joseph Wahome operated a school transport business, ferrying about 150 students to school and back home each day and making about $3,000 a month.
Just before I've removed all my profits, I have to pay the drivers, I pay them on a weekly basis, pay the conductors and other errands.
After the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed in the country, schools were shut as part of measures adopted to curb the spread of COVID-19. After depleting his savings, Joseph was forced to lay off his employees.
I had kept a little size of money, but now that took me only about 2 months. So after that, now I'm living on friends.
New data released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics shows unemployment in Kenya shot up to 10.4% in June from 5.2% recorded in March when the first case of COVID-19 was detected. The report goes on to say the level of unemployment rose sharply amongst young people aged 20 to 29 years as employers like Joseph rushed to cut operational costs. What that essentially means is 1.8 million people lost their jobs in that 4-month period. And experts say they're yet to fully understand the impact of COVID-19 on the economy.
Some of the impacts that we are currently seeing, we're just beginning to understand. We do know that there are certain sectors that have been devastated. And what comes to mind is the hospitality and the tourism sectors. Apart from the loss of jobs, there have been entire organizations closing down and essentially folding their businesses.
And they warn the impact will likely be felt for a long time to come.
If you look at the loss of income that has come about as a result of COVID, it has sort of led to, a lot more people dropping below the poverty line and essentially the poverty situation worsening. Secondly, if you look at food production and distribution, the disruptions that COVID-19 came with have sort of resulted not only a creep up prices, but also a higher cost of living.
For employers like Joseph, he's not sure how long he can wait for schools to reopen before calling it quits. That uncertainty can't be good for those hoping to get their jobs back.
Coronavirus impact has greatly impacted the unemployment rate in Kenya, and from there we move to South Africa because South Africa has unveiled an app for the testing of COVID-19. The COVID Alert SA app will enable individuals to detect their COVID-19 status and break the chain of community transmission. Bluetooth technology to function and will help to limit the risk of people coming into contact with affected persons. The app notifies users of others' COVID-19 status anonymously without sharing personal information and identity of the individual. Detail of that in this report.
South Africa has been using manual contact tracing methods like home visits and phone calls to alert those known to have been exposed to a COVID-19 patient. But there's a new weapon that has been unleashed now in the fight against COVID-19, an app called COVID Alert SA. It provides another crucial layer to contact tracing.
One of the great challenges that we have is we often move around but have no idea about the people that we're interacting with and what risk that may pose. So to combat the break in the chain of transmission, as we interact with people, we need to have some sense about who it is that may potentially have COVID and may be able to transmit it to us.
When a user tests positive, they are requested to report their diagnosis anonymously in the app. All other users with whom they have been in contact for the past 14 days will immediately be notified of their exposure. COVID Alert SA relies on Bluetooth technology to track proximity between smartphones. It operates on an entirely anonymous basis with no identifiers.
It's basically an automated notification of proximity to a person infected with COVID. So if you're in contact with somebody who's infected, it will alert you. It will also provide privacy prioritized and protected so that your information is not shared with others.
I have been through the app in detail with the developers, and I am entirely satisfied that it is sufficiently anonymized to make anybody who is nervous about their privacy infringement not be worried, because it is anonymized. They don't collect any of your personal information. No name, no email address, no phone number, no location is collected or stored.
Downloading the app requires 3 megabytes. Thereafter, it is zero rated, meaning it will not cost you anything to use. It is available on Google Play and iStore, and developers are currently looking at other platforms to ensure that it is available there as well. Government believes that this latest invention provides additional armament to achieve suppression of the virus and prevent outbreaks from occurring again by eliminating the time-consuming steps it takes to achieve contact tracing manually.
It's a time now where South Africans must take charge, but also it's up to them now to actually be part of the solution in terms of ensuring that we are able to contain the infections.
The COVID Alert SA app is now available for free download.
The latest invention from South Africa will take us to our first break. When we come back, the news continues. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, and now to the rest of our remaining stories. In Nigeria's fashion world, women have been spending lots of money on hair extension to look extremely gorgeous and perfect. Now, hair extension and wigs are booming industry for those that venture into the business. A wig maker in Nigeria is set to produce her own hair frontal and closure to avoid exporting rather, and make the country's wig business more lucrative. Detail in this report.
They come in different lengths, texture, grades and colors. Adedoyin Adewale's store in Lagos boasts some of the best quality of hair extensions and wigs in the Nigerian market. And most of them come directly from various donors across different races. The raw ones, popularly referred to as naked or human hair, enjoy the most patronage, largely due to their durability.
We have the virgin hairs, we have Brazilian hair, we have Peruvian hair, we have double drawn, we have super double draws, and we also have donor. And the donor is really trending now because it's the kind of hair that even after you've used it for like 4 or 5 years, still look exactly the way it is. Most especially the straight one of it. When you use them, it looks so much like you've not used them at all. It's something that you can actually resell. We can give you like 15 years warranty on luxury donor hair.
Wig maker Christiana deals only in human hair. She says it has become the latest go-to for fashionable women who want to switch up their looks. But they usually come at a very huge price.
We have straight, wavy, curly, right? So those coily hairs, it's very hard to find people's natural hair. Those very raw hair that are cut from people that are raw coily hairs, they are really expensive because it's hard to maintain. So they are the most expensive. Then we have the wavy hair, and then we have the straight hair. Now, the longer the hair, the costlier it is.
Years back, most ladies fixed their hair, but wigs are now the trend, and it's been a win-win situation for both hair vendors and customers.
Fixing of hair is tiring these days. It has got to the stage that there are some hair that complement your outfit. So that is why a lot of ladies, they want to have a lot different wigs. They believe when you are wearing a long dress, you should wear a short wig on it. We do a lot of colors because people come up with different shades of gold, brown. So we just buy, it's just like buying bundles, is like getting your materials, then coming up with exactly what your customer wants.
For Christiana, she has made a profession out of the wig-making business. She's even written a book on the subject where she highlights some of the growth potentials in the fast-rising sector.
We don't have an industry in Nigeria that does ventilation, like closures, frontals. As we speak right now, in this season now, we're in the season when we are short of closures and frontals. We can actually produce this in Nigeria. All we need is the lace and the raw hair, like the type that is not wefted. You know, we can have our own industry in Nigeria, and we can buy from ourselves. You know, we can be so much more. So we can start from being able to produce closures and frontals.
The safety of this raw hair is guaranteed by sellers. The hairs are often washed in conditioners or odor-friendly chemicals to take off any germs before they are shipped for sale. And in some cases, some customers still insist on a second treatment of the hair before they wear them.
Nigeria's wig industry booming there despite the coronavirus global pandemic. Now, on the occasion of the World Clean Air Day, the UN Secretary General said 9 out of the 10 people worldwide breathe on clean air. Antonio Guterres said this has caused an estimated 7 million premature deaths every year, mostly in low and middle income countries.
Air pollution contributes to heart disease, strokes, lung cancer, and other respiratory diseases. It causes an estimated 7 million premature deaths every year, predominantly in low and middle income countries. Air pollution also threatens the economy, food security, and the environment. As we recover from the coronavirus pandemic, the world needs to pay far greater attention to air pollution, which also increases the risks associated with COVID-19. We must also urgently address the deeper threat of climate change. Limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees will help reduce air pollution, death, and disease. This year's lockdowns have caused emissions to fall dramatically, provided a glimpse of cleaner air in many cities. But emissions are already rising again, in some places surpassing pre-COVID levels.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres there on the World Air Clean Day. Now we move to another issue because Gambia experienced its longest and heaviest downpour from Friday through Saturday. iAfrica TV visited Latri Kunda and Serekunda markets and residential places in Ibo Town, a large settlement on watercourses. Mariama Cham has more of that in this report.
The rains, which lasted for more than 24 hours, has affected many people and places in the Gambia, with homes and markets flooded and roads rendered inaccessible. Flamin Sanyang, a resident of Ibo Town, said she has never seen such a long and heavy rain and the resulting flooding over the weekend.
This situation is new to me. This is what we saw this year. We normally have floods, but not this serious, because this rain is too much. The water is not flowing anymore due to the one direction of the waterway, and this is really disturbing us. The water normally runs out of our compound, but the rain is very heavy.
Elizabeth Sar, also a resident of Ibo Town, saw her parlor and bedroom flooded with water.
Kay sili lañ dégg depuis nawet bi yene sa dañ day ngacce yene sa tista mo ñu day jappalé génné.
This is how we live during the raining season. Sometimes a machine will help us to reduce the water. My house is overflooded, being it in the sitting room or the small room. We really need help.
Francis Gomez, commonly known as Tecito, knows that Ibo Town is situated on water courses and gets easily flooded whenever it rains. Francis has a water pumping machine and helps people pump water out of their houses.
The was too much really, but
the rain was too much, and Ibo Town it's a waterway, and it's disturbing many people. This is not something new, because my house we normally have stagnant water, but I created a machine that would drill the water out since the former regime. Sometimes, end of the year, I drill water for people with my machine for free. They only buy fuel.
The Latrikunda market has also been inundated with water and has not been open for business on Sunday as shops closed in observance of COVID-19 regulations. The same was for the Serekunda market. The month of September is known for bringing heavy rains, accompanied by windstorms, lightning and thunder. These are the rains that destroy properties, lives and livelihoods. iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
That report there by Mariama Cham brings us to the end of the news text. But for more on these and others, join my colleague Amadou Kante at 17:30 GMT. I am Julian Suare. Thanks for the pleasure of your company and do have a nice day. Bye-bye.